And now, Tim Dillon is
And now, Lily Abernathy is going to hell. Lily Abernathy is going to hell.
Salutations once more. If you have been paying attention to my formerly Twitter account, you may have noticed I've had some obstacles these past few weeks. American Airlines, of course, changed my flight to 2 days after it was originally scheduled. Once I arrived in Colombia, my new apartment did not have internet set up. I know, right? Think about having to deal with the customer service of, say, the Latin American version of Comcast, just so you could get internet. Anyways, after about 5 days of waiting for them to do something about the internet, I purchased an Ethernet cable, and once I returned to the apartment, the lock on the door had been broken. I had to contact a service to come and break the lock and replace it, which took roughly 7 hours, wasting an entire other day of my time. The following day, I decided to go to the local market with some cash I had on me and left my phone in the apartment to charge, maybe 45 minutes total with the walk to and from, only to return this time to an apartment that had clearly been broken into. My phone and wallet were missing as well as my AirPods. Both my suitcases had been cut into with a knife because they were locked. They, however, did not take my laptop or my Sony WHMX4s or my passport. Thankfully, I have a great memory, and I Western Unioned myself enough cash to get by for some days and purchase a new iPhone, thinking I'll just log into my Apple account and everything will be cool on that end. As it turns out, Apple security, which is wildly boasted about, is actually complete shit. Without my passcodes, Face ID, or any passwords, the thief was able to access basically every single thing connected to my Apple ID. They changed the phone number on the account. Apple refused to do anything about returning my Apple ID unless I had the new phone number. So for the last 48 to 72 hours, I have done nothing but contact banks and those sorts of things dealing with fraud. Upwards of $10,000 spent between my accounts, some of which has been returned at this point. But a twist of fate occurred. The thief tried to purchase something through my Amazon account, and having regained access to my phone number and email, I was able to access all the information on the purchase. This included their name, address, phone number, Colombian citizen ID number. Now having access to the phone number, I could restart the process to get access to my Apple ID. Fortunately for the man, I did contact the authorities, which prevented me from going full Jacksonville and leaving him within an inch of his life, where he would never be able to walk or talk correctly. The lesson here, kids, is that you should never lose or get your iPhone stolen. Their security and customer service is, I can't even put into words. Okay, so that's about where I got with the podcast after I was robbed of my phone and wallet in Colombia. Oh, what a week it has been. I actually traveled to a different city to stay with a friend for a week. It was a good time. Crazy how when I try to make a regular Starbucks purchase in the United States, my bank will flag the purchase. But when I'm in a foreign country and someone makes roughly $15,000 worth of purchases within 8 hours, they don't flag one purchase. Navy Federal and Apple can get absolutely Speaking of America, how about that election? Am I right? Do we think the Dems are ever going to get their head out of their at this point? I mean, of course not. They're politicians, and they're all evil. And now, thanks to that bald half-mongoloid midget endorsing the president along with Elon, we have to talk about something. the separation of comedy and politics. If you are now endorsing a president as a comedian, your funny card has now been revoked, and you can get your own line with Dave Smith. Tony Hinchcliffe is now a political commentator, as if he was ever a comedian to begin with. Friendless hack. Seriously, how many times have you heard this dude talk about having any childhood friends? Never, and it's not like he has any real friends in comedy. Rogan has been pulling back on his endorsement of him since the Trump rally. Him and Redban hate each other. It's so obvious. Tony and David Lucas are essentially a parasitic relationship where they both know they're dumb, thieving hacks pandering to mongoloids. If the whole reaction to the Tony thing wasn't really eye-opening enough, seeing how comedians only stuck up for him because of opportunities or possible opportunities, then I don't know what to tell you. The man is just a tool. And from experience, I can tell you, much like Robbie Goodwin's experience with Tony, he's just a cunt in person. Everyone in Rogan's sphere is now on watch. The world's best comedians that has 100 jokes go over his head. Every podcast and was the host of Fear Factor. Mate tried to get away from Hollywood so bad he created a rift that is arguably worse than Hollywood ever was. Look, I haven't watched Kill Tony in years at this point. But at some point in the near future, I will be taking a dive back into the cesspool. It's the cornerstone of comedy. It's so important. Blah, blah, blah. No, it's a hack talent show. That's what it is. In fact, I'm probably going to take a deep dive on the whole Austin comedy scene in general. Report back with some raw sewage spilling from the mouth. With all these tech companies switching sides and being based out of Austin, and on top of the rise of New Hollywood, the whole place is going to hell in a handbasket. I mean, look at Mark Zuckerberg. He's undergone some kind of metamorphosis these past few years or so, much like Tony has been since moving to Austin. Instead of buying clothes like Supreme and the likes of streetwear, Tony just evolved from a gay to a gay cowboy. Word in the community is, Tony is a power bottom for Bunny XO and Jelly Roll in their threesomes, but you didn't hear it from me, okay? And please don't think I'm jealous of Tony. I literally just don't like the dude, and living his fake life would be a unique kind of hell. Another example of why you separate comedy and politics is the infamous Jake Flores. Jake went so hard one way politically that admittedly probably helped his career at the time, but was too stupid to see where the road leads. He's now a homeless vagabond in LA. I can't really tell if that counts as me winning my bet with producer Alan Aikawa about Jake surviving LA for a year or not, but I think we both agree that it's just so sad that we will call it a wash, as Jake basically has one of the worst lives ever, but by his own doing. Then there was that whole thing with Anthony Jeselnik, doing another example of him puffing his chest out about a situation almost no one cares about again. Does he want to be the left's Joe Rogan I've been hearing about on the interwebs? I mean, that dude is just so lame at this point. We get it. Daniel Tosh took all your gigs because he wasn't a completely unlikable. No one, including Amy Schumer, wanted to be around. Imagine writing the act for someone that got them famous, and then they don't want to be around you because you're just so unlikable. He has a podcast called the Jeselnik and Rosenthal Vanity Project. What the are we doing allowing people like this to have any space on our feeds? Oh, right. It's New Hollywood and stuff like Netflix who push Rogan and Jeselnik at the same time. It's kind of like both sides are the same. So just remember now that people with large audiences like Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe have started endorsing presidents. Now we have to deal with twice as much lame gay coming from people who will publicly back war criminals. We must keep a separation of comedy and politics, and every comedian grifting in the political sphere needs to be kept on watch for fraudulence. They're just as phony as actual politicians. Hope you enjoyed your holiday yesterday, and hope you catch some sick deals on products this weekend. That's sick with 2 Qs, by the way. Hopefully the universe doesn't try and me this week, and we can stay on regular schedule. Thanks to everyone that listens. Oh, and please go check out the Arena of Ideas #2 over on the Crowder Boys YouTube channel if you haven't. You'll thank me later. Bang bang, Ma Gang. Please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and share the podcast. Follow us at Podcast the Pod on X, formerly Twitter and YouTube. We appreciate it. This is Lily Abernathy, signing off.